Now on CoastTV News.
Representative Stell Parker Selby resigns. How people in the 20th District are reacting.
The heat continues in Maryland, how workers are dealing with the high temperatures.
And we are still under an extreme heat warning. I'll show you the latest coming up.
This is CoastTV News at 5.
The stunning announcement came from Representative Stell Parker Selby herself in this letter. Good evening. I'm Christina DeRobertis.
And I'm Charlie Sakaitis. Welcome to the news at 5. Parker Selby referenced the media attention around her absence, which was initiated by CoastTV. And in that letter from Stell Parker Selby's personal Facebook, she says, quote, "I am stepping down not because of noise or pressure, but because I care too deeply about this community to offer anything less than my full capacity."
And after months of tenacious, almost exclusive coverage of the longtime absence of Representative Stell Parker Selby, Parker Selby now says she did have a major stroke late last year. Parker Selby ultimately missed every single vote in the current 6-month-long legislative session. Now here's a look at District 20. It encompasses Lewis on the east side of the district. It goes over to Milton and Harbison on the west side. There are more than 23,000 registered voters in Parker Selby's district.
CoastTV News reporter Emma Aiken joins us live now. Emma, some of those voters say they expected the resignation.
Charlie, I'm in Milton, which is the western portion of District 20. We spoke with people here today, and we spoke with people in Lewis, which is the eastern portion of District 20, and here's what they had to say.
To hold off like this and not have any function at all, that's kind of odd to me.
How much farther is that going to put us behind? You know what I mean? Because now you're bringing in another face. They have to catch up with whatever's been going on.
Some of the other people we spoke with say they still have unanswered questions about how we got to this point and what will happen from here. Reporting live in Milton, Emma Aiken, Coast TV News.
Thank you, Emma. House Democrats said that the seat will be filled with a special election. The Speaker of the House, Melissa Minor Brown, can issue a writ of election within 10 days. And we will have more on that and all of this on Coast TV News at 6. We're taking a live look into Ocean City right now. Let's check in with our First Alert Chief Meteorologist, Paul Williams. And Paul, it is still HOT hot.
And it's going to stay W-A-Y that way, right? I mean, it's so hot I can't even spell. We're in Milford at 98 degrees, folks. 98 degrees in Milford right now. This is an active scene for us. Just to kind of give you a perspective, we broke a record high today. 2 degrees above it. 97 was the record set in 2010. We set a brand new record at 154. That's at the Georgetown site. And 86 is the norm. That's where we're supposed to be floating for the day. Take a look at this. We've been tracking the heat throughout the day. We blustered all the way up to 103 degrees in Redden. We had 101 degrees in Willard. That's the second day that we've had 101 degrees in Willard, by the way. Willards. Georgetown 99, second day of 99 there. 98 in Milford and Seaford, 98 Bridgeville and Harrington, and 98 degrees for the high, Greenwood and Laurel. Here's where we stand right now. We're at 99 in Redden, Georgetown, 98 in Seaford, 96 in Laurel, 96 right now, Delmarva. What does it feel like? Well, it feels like 112 in Seaford, feels like 114 in Milton, feels like 109 in Redden, 107 Georgetown. The heat index is 104 in Delmar. Now, along where we have the beaches, we actually have a heat advisory along the beaches and a heat warning for the inland areas. So that's the difference. Advisory, warning. But look at where the advisory is. It still feels like 99 degrees in Bethany Beach. So that's what's happening. Extreme heat warning still in effect and will carry on into Wednesday, 8 o'clock. This sliver of orange you see right here, that's the advisory here. And this is the warning area. Now, we also have that warning that's activated for the folks in Cambridge, which includes Dorchester, Somerset, Wacomico, and Worcester. And then we also have that in effect for us throughout Accomack as well. St. Martin, Libertytown, Berlin, Ironshire, Ocean Pines. And we're still very mindful, even though it tends to be a little cooler for the beaches, they are under a heat advisory. Now, the heat advisory means that we're expecting 105, okay? 110 versus 105. hot both ways. Take a look at the trend. We've been continuing to really keep a track of this. And so this is kind of like showing you, we've been doing the homework here. We started seeing a trend upward initially till the 13th. We dipped to the 17th. And now we've been on an upward trend, dangerously high, ever since the 18th. Coming up, we're going to talk about whether this trend will continue for the rest of the week or will we finally get a break. Christina.
Thank you, Paul. And whether you're in the water, hiding under an umbrella, or just staying inside, everyone is trying to deal with that heat today. Coast TV News reporter Kevin Zappe is live in Ocean City. Kevin, some people have no choice but to work outside in the heat.
Christina, if you were outside today at all, you definitely felt the heat. When we talked to a couple people on the beach and along the boardwalk, who told Coast TV they saw a little bit less of a crowd because of the temperature. But the sun is not stopping the fun for everyone. People are still enjoying the beach and walking along the boardwalk. And let's not forget about everyone working on this hot day. One person who came from Serbia has been placing umbrellas down in the sand for people to take cover. And with this being his first year working in Ocean City, he says people couldn't be nicer when it comes to helping him deal with all the heat.
Go to some restaurant or something like that and they give us water for free. There's a lot of good people, so they help us a lot.
Now, if you plan to hit the beach or walk along the boardwalk, be sure you're ready to face the sun. I'm Kevin Zappe, live in Ocean City, Coast TV News.
And with that heat wave, there are cooling centers open in Wicomico County. There is one at the Wicomico County Civic Center that's operational through Wednesday. It's open right now and until 7 p.m. Then again, it opens on Wednesday from 3 to 5.
And in Sussex County, the Delaware Department of Health and Social Services is offering cooling stations to anyone in need. The agency says the facilities were open today from 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. People can head to the Adams State Service Center in Georgetown, also the State Service Centers in Bridgeville, Laurel, and Milford.
And in national news, before noon, firefighters in Rochester, New York responded to 2 house fires in the city. Working in the heat we've been talking about, they battled the fires. One of them displaced 3 children and 3 adults. The fires come during a yellow alert for extreme heat and humidity. Today is another hot day with a heat index expected to reach 100 degrees coupled with high humidity. Firefighters do wear equipment weighing up to 100 pounds, and hot conditions are as much a physical condition as a mental one. This brings us to our Coast TV poll. We want to know if you think what's most important during these heat waves.
Let's take a look here at the results. 75% saying staying hydrated is most important. 10% say knowing the symptoms of heat illness, also taking breaks and helping others.
And if you haven't voted yet, you can still do that. Go to coasttv.com or use the Coast TV mobile app. The Washington Monument remains closed to tours. That's because it's hot out. Why officials say the closure is necessary.
And the extreme heat continues to be a problem for our area. You take a look at the melting forecast. We're talking about 99 degrees searing heat, so you're gonna have to eat it in seconds, pardon me. It's so hot, I really can't talk, Christina.
That's okay, Paul. But first, coming up, President Trump declares a fragile victory after brokering a ceasefire between Israel and Iran. How his direct call to Israel's prime minister may have prevented another strike. Up next.
This is Coast TV News at 5.
President Trump arriving at the NATO summit, claiming victory on ending the war between Israel and Iran. Now, while the truce is fragile, neither country has fired upon each other in hours.
The president not happy this morning, though, after he says both sides broke that ceasefire, but says it is now back on following a phone call with Israel's prime minister.
NBC's Yamiche Alcindor recently spoke to the president and has the latest details from Washington.
Today, President Trump on the international stage, arriving at the NATO summit in the Netherlands and touting his role in brokering a ceasefire, posting he is honored to, quote, stop the war between Israel and Iran. But this morning, the president's peace deal appeared to be on rocky ground. As he left the White House, he lashed out at both countries, saying each violated the ceasefire using expletives.
We basically have 2 countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what they're doing.
Just before the ceasefire took effect, Iran firing off missiles at Israel, hitting an apartment building and killing some residents. Israel then retaliating. Later, an Iranian missile striking nothing, and Israel wanted to strike back again. While on Air Force One, the president called Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
I said, you got to call back the planes. It's enough. It's enough. And they did.
He was also questioned about whether he wanted regime change in Iran.
No, I don't want it. I'd like to see everything calm down as quickly as possible. Regime change takes chaos. And ideally, we don't want to see so much chaos.
Meanwhile, Democrats on Capitol Hill are accusing the president of causing chaos and say they should have been briefed before the president bombed Iranian nuclear facilities over the weekend.
I am deeply concerned that chaos and confusion seem to be the United States brand of foreign policy right now.
Later this week, lawmakers are scheduled to get a classified briefing when Secretary of State Marco Rubio returns from the NATO summit. And yesterday, I spoke with President Trump in an exclusive interview after he announced the ceasefire. He was very happy and said it was a great day for the world. He also told me he believes the ceasefire will hold for, quote, forever, and said he doesn't believe the two sides will be shooting at each other again. Yamiche Alcindor, NBC News, Washington.
Here's a look at your Bay forecast. We're still going to clock 98 degrees for Wednesday, so the extreme heat continues through Wednesday. And then we got to talk about some other concerns coming up. Dangerously high temperatures, accelerated heat indices, and extreme heat warnings, along with concerns for now more problems with air quality. All of that is part of an entire amalgam of concerns that we're going to have as a result of this extended amount of very much extreme heat. In Lewis, right now, we're holding at 96 degrees, and we've dropped a couple of degrees, actually. Dew point temperature 76. That's a lot of moisture and a lot of energy in the atmosphere. The winds are pushing out of the north. That's at least a little bit helpful. Now, we are expected for the temperature to stay in the 90s until the sun goes down. Right around 8 o'clock, we'll clock 89, and then we'll go into the mid 80s as we start to go into the nighttime hours. Here's a look at today's highs. We had a high of 99 for the high in Georgetown. That's a new record high for this date. The old one was 97. We reached 100 in Dover, 97 in Easton, Cambridge, 99 for the high in Salisbury, 93 for the high in Ocean City, 98 Wallops Island. Now, the irony here is this. Guess how much the temperature has changed from yesterday versus today? 0. That means we're doing a repeat of what we experienced yesterday. Peat and repeat. And we're going to get a third peat or three-peat for tomorrow, unfortunately. It's 97 in Milton right now, as well as Millsboro. It's 97 in Harrington and in Bridgeville. But it feels like 107 in Georgetown. Feels like 105 in Cambridge and 106 in Salisbury. And that's dropped since 3 o'clock. At about 3 o'clock, when we were monitoring this, it was 110 to 115 to 119 in most of the area. So the extreme heat warning stays in effect for Truett, Libertytown, St. Martin, Berlin, Ironshire. But it also stays active for Georgetown, Millsboro, Selbyville, Lewis, Bryan Stewart, Pepperbox, Laurel, Delmar, Seaford, as well as Bridgeville. And it's also inclusive of places like Cambridge, Trapp, Cornersville, Linkwood, as well as Bucktown, bracing for 110 degrees for the heat index. Air quality alert is active for us as well. Temperature trend, we've been trending well above this 86, which is where we should be. And that's kind of been the situation. Now, along the coast for us for Wednesday, we're going to have, once again, a very much similar to what we had yesterday. Low to mid 90s to upper 80s along the beaches, mid to upper 90s throughout the inland areas, and even some of the beaches into the lower 90s, actually. So when we take a look at 6 o'clock in the morning, we start off at 77, 76 degrees most locations. 80 is the starting point for Lewis and Rehoboth Beach. Then we go into the 90s. We may get a sprinkle or two down towards Delmar, and that would be a relief. Thursday, we start off in the 70s, and we bounce right back into the mid-90s just everywhere, but the winds will start pushing out of the south by then, and that adds a little bit of an element of rain and possible storms into the play. But the future feels like we're going to feel like, 105 for later on tonight, and then 104 to 105 for Wednesday afternoon around 4 o'clock, and we're going to be at 107 to 106. That's going to be the range for Thursday. Okay, and as we go on to Friday, we finally start to get a little bit of relief by the time we get to Friday. The muggy meter is going to stay elevated, okay? We're talking about miserable and really peaking for Thursday all the way to the top of the scale. We almost go off of the graph, actually. That's just how warm it's going to be. So the skeeter meter is going to stay with extreme to very high concerns with all the mosquitoes. If you notice when you're cutting your grass, they're already flying around and they are very active. And last but not least, keep you mindful of the fact that the UV index is still elevated. The burning effect, in fact, I was talking to a couple of my reporters this afternoon. They're starting to get burned with their straps and all that kind of stuff. You've got to take care of your skin, because even after we get a little relief on Friday, we go back to this level of 9, and this level of 9 is nothing to play with, folks, okay? Finally, here's a look at your 7-day forecast. We have one more red alert day for Wednesday because of the heat and the humidity and the elevated UV index, Charlie.
Thank you, Paul. In related news, the Washington Monument remains closed to tours as temperatures in Washington, D.C. surpass triple digits. This is the second day in a row that the 555-foot tall monument is closed. Now, it does have air conditioning, but it cannot keep up when temperatures reach these dangerous levels. Officials say they want to keep visitors and employees safe, including those who work outside of the monument.
Coming up tonight on the Delmarva Sports Network at 7 p.m., the Delmarva Shorebirds take on the Carolina Mudcats, then catch the final score at 10:30. Over on DSN Plus at 5, it's high school basketball. At 6, it's high school field hockey at DE Turf and high school boys basketball. At 6:30, it's Delmarva Pony League baseball.
And coming up, the 4th of July right around the corner. What day they say the most people will be traveling. Stay tuned on Coast TV News at 5.
The 4th of July holiday is quickly approaching, and TSA expects more than 18.5 million people to travel by air. That's from Tuesday, July 1st until Monday, July 7th. The highest passenger volume is expected on Sunday, July 6th, with approximately 2.9 million passengers screened. Now, if you're traveling with children 12 and under, TSA says they have practices in place to expedite screening. Kids can accompany a TSA pre-check enrolled parent in those pre-check lines.
New at 5, it's happening. Florida Attorney General says construction has begun on a new controversial migrant detention facility in the Everglades he calls Alligator Alcatraz. But Miami-Dade County owns the property, and the mayor says she still needs answers. Despite county objections, Florida's AG says Alligator Alcatraz could be ready and open as soon as July. The land is located deep in the Everglades, about an hour-and-a-half drive from Miami. The remote area is surrounded by swamp, dangerous wildlife, and alligators. If completed, the site could hold up to 1,000 people. In sports, thousands of fans were in Oklahoma City to celebrate the Oklahoma City Thunder's first NBA title. The team's 2025 championship parade kicked off this morning downtown. OKC beat the Indiana Pacers Sunday after an exciting 7-game series.
But the guys don't get to have all the fun. How about this? The WNBA just experienced a boost in value. The 13 franchises in the league are now collectively worth $3.5 billion. That's according to Sportico. Now that's an 180% hike compared to 2024. The Golden State Valkyries are the WNBA's most valuable, worth $500 million, and the Indiana Fever, with superstar Caitlin Clark at point guard, they came in third at $335 million. Now here's a live look outside into Lewis. We'll have one more check on the forecast coming up after this.
Dangerous heat still hovering over the area, although in Ocean City it feels a little closer to the norm at 85 degrees there, courtesy of our DryTech camera, and we'll drop down to 81 with increasing cloud cover over that particular area at 9 o'clock. Now, we do have the extreme heat warning that's in effect. Now, that's for Libertytown, St. Martin, Ironshire, as well as Berlin and those areas, but also of places like Millsboro, Frankfort, Selbyville, Bryan Store, Lowe's, Crossroads, Gumboro, Sycamore. And we also have a heat advisory. Now, this is specifically for the cities that are located right along the beaches. Okay, so that's Lewis, Rehoboth, Ocean View, but also we have a heat advisory in effect for Ocean City. The difference between these two, more than just color, 105, the concern here, 110, where you see the brightest color. Another thing, because we've had so much heat and humidity, the air quality is tanking more so. Now we're all yellow and we're starting to see some oranges, which is unhealthy for sensitive groups near Atlantic City. Now that's not in our immediate area, but this usually comes in waves. So don't be surprised if we're under an unhealthy status for tomorrow. Our umbrella giveaway winner is Caroline Lindar, of Lewis, Delaware. Congratulations, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration. Keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line, 443-880-9100. Your forecast is just a call away, sponsored by the law offices of Bruxett, Mandalis, and Federico. And finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. We're calling for one more red alert day because of the heat and the humidity. and the elevated UV index. And now we are going to add on to that air quality concerns as well.
All right, thank you again, Paul, and thanks to you at home for joining us for Coast TV News at 5.
For more news, more local weather, download our Coast TV News app.
Inside Edition is up next.
And we'll see you later tonight for Coast TV News at 6. Have a great evening.